Hello, folks, and welcome to the Vertigo Tea Party and our April 2017 update. So, as usual, I will cover all the important things before the 5-minute mark. After that, I'll just kind of be talking about some behind-the-scenes stuff that you don't need to stick around for. I'll let you know when we get to that point. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. The question I would like for everyone to answer, if you would please, is what kind of short series would you like to see on the channel? Games that tend to be more open-ended, can be played various ways, but also in not really long sessions. Good examples of this would be things like Slime Rancher, Northgard, HunieCam Studios, Tropico, Nioh. Games like the Forrest, things that you can play for a couple hours, and it's different each time you play it. So I'd be really curious to hear you guys' suggestions for that. Now, we're looking at some possible format changes. Again, yes, I know. And basically, here's what we're looking at going forward. We'll have the Let's Tries. You're familiar with those 30 to 60 minute overviews of newer games that are coming out. The typical Let's Play style, they're my normal casual style. I search for secrets. I take my time. I don't rush. Every other day uploads. Basically what I do now for the vast majority of my videos. And the last two don't actually have names. The first one would be more fast-paced. In other words, focus more on finishing the game, and I'm not saying just rushing towards the end. We'll do side quests and stuff because I can't help myself, but it's not as going to be in-depth as a typical Let's Play I would do. It would also be uploaded much, much faster than normal. So, like say the game just came out, the first day I would upload like 2 hours or 3 hours, and maybe every day after that I would upload multiple hours and get it out quicker. This would typically be for new games that come out, so that if you want to see the game in full, right as it comes out, you can do that. That's another series. Another one would be a short series aiming at 5 to 12 videos for more open-ended games. Again, like Slime Rancher, Tropico, HunieCam Studio, stuff like that. Those are what I'm looking at. Those obviously are subject to change, but that's what we're looking at going forward. Also, I'm not getting comments on everybody's, or I'm not getting emails on everybody's comments. So if you're leaving a comment in the YouTube video and I don't respond, either the comment didn't just like warrant a response, you were just making a statement or something, but I also might miss something. So if you ask me a question I don't answer, maybe hit me on Twitter or ask again, and I'll try to find it. But for some reason I'm not getting all emails for comments, so I've missed some. Let's Tries are now officially caught up. So hooray, that doesn't mean we're done with Let's Tries, but my backlog is cleared out, which is very, very good for me. As far as new stuff coming up this month, I will almost certainly be playing Little Nightmares. It's a game I hadn't heard much about until recently, but it looks really, really cool. I suggest you do a search on it. If I remember, I'll put a link in the description below the video to a gameplay vid. Bulletstorm Remaster is a huge maybe if I finish playing Nioh before it comes out, which I believe is like this upcoming Friday. Then I might do it, but I very strongly do not suggest, or do not wait for that one. It probably won't happen, but if a spot opens, it might. Continuing this month is going to be Nioh, World of Warcraft, and Slime Rancher. Elder Scrolls Online is quote-unquote finished. I've actually finished recording it, and I've actually finished a few weeks ago. And again, as I mentioned before, you folks watching know that I'm going to take about 1 to 2 months off, and I think the last Elder Scrolls video ends like halfway through this month. So that's not over, but I'm going to take a bit of a break from that one. So about halfway through the month, and probably at least into summer next month, there will not be any more Elder Scrolls Online stuff. So yeah, that is actually all the important things. Definitely, again, don't forget to answer the question about some shorter, more open-ended type games that you would like to see on the channel. And also, if you have any feedback regarding those different formats or any questions, definitely let me know. But yeah, you guys who just wanted the essential stuff, you can go ahead and drop out. And now I'm going to kind of ramble on, as I always do, about some of the behind the scenes stuff and why I'm making the changes that I'm making. So first of all, I plan to finish Nioh, I plan to finish recording Nioh this month. The last 2 months or so, I would say I've really been focusing on getting caught up. I always say I'm behind, but I got tired of it. I'm like, okay, I've really got to make a plan. So I've really started to focus on keeping up, setting daily goals, setting weekly goals, setting monthly goals, and planning my days so that I can focus. Because a lot of times what happens is I'm very reactionary. I tend to be, oh, I forgot to record this, or oh no, I'm behind on this and I forgot and I had to put this other thing on hold and all this other stuff. So I said, okay, enough of that. That's got to stop. And I've focused on that, and it's been working really, really well. I've got a daily to-do list. I've got weekly to-do list, and I've started doing monthly now, where I have like an overall monthly goal. But anyway, that's really been helping a lot, and that's really helped me to get caught up, because the Let's Tries are, I say done, I mean the backlog's caught up. I'm not done doing Let's Tries forever, but I'm not taking on any more until I get to a point that I'm happy, and that currently is set as having finished playing Nioh. So once I've finished recording Nioh, I will probably start looking at some other games to do some Let's Tries for. But again, not going to go crazy like I have in the past, because I keep underestimating rather how long these will take me. But yeah, I'm very happy with that. I'm very pleased with my progress. I've actually finished recording Slime Rancher as well. That ended up being a lot longer than I intended. I intended that series to be about 12 videos. I think total count ended up being around 25. Not a big deal. It went longer than intended. That's not a huge problem. But again, this kind of goes back to what I was telling you before about how I tend to underestimate. So, it's kind of good that I planned around that. But anyway, the next goal that I have set for myself is to finish Nioh. That's the most important thing that I do. Outside of keeping, the absolute most important thing is to keep the schedule going so that you guys don't get breaks. So if you expect WoW every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, I don't fall behind on that. But the second goal now is to finish recording Nioh, because that is going to free up a lot of time for me to work on some other things. And I think I should be able to do that conservatively, I think, by the end of next week. Today's Monday the 3rd, so I think I can probably finish it up by then. And then after that, we'll see. I'm trying not to get too far ahead of myself. But anyway, let's talk about those format changes and why I'm making those changes, or additions, I guess I should say. Honestly, the reason is because I want to get new folks in, new subscribers, new viewers. I want to get the channel growing. And I did some research. I watched some other bigger channels, and I'm just really trying to see, okay, what are people wanting to watch these days? Now, a lot of people know, and I've talked about this, I don't really like edited Let's Plays, and I don't plan on ever making that the main focus of my channel, because I don't personally enjoy watching them, and I also hate editing. So those two things alone make me never want to do that for my channel. And I feel like folks who come to this channel want to watch the full thing, generally speaking, with obvious stuff cut out, like me running back and forth, blah, blah, blah. You know the drill. So I don't plan to change on the whole, but I wouldn't mind doing some things that are different than my norm. So one thing I had considered would be for a game like Styx or Thief, where there's a ton of downtime because of waiting, retrying areas, watching guard pass. There's a lot of downtime in those games. I've thought about doing series that are specifically made to have a lot of editing, like way more cut out than is typical for me. That's very low priority right now, because again, I don't want that to be the focus of my channel. And even if people came in with those videos because they liked those style, if they try to watch anything else I do, they're like, oh, well, he doesn't cut anything out. This is taking too long. I'm not going to watch anyway. So it would defeat the entire purpose, right? If you draw somebody in with a format they don't really like, or a format they like, but then nothing else you do is in that format, what's the point, right? They're not going to watch your stuff. A lot of people mistake a channel's popularity as like subscribers are the holy grail. It's not really subscribers, it's views. And not to get into details too much, subscribers is a good rough figure, but it's all about views, right? If you have 1 million subscribers, but 10 people watch each video you put out, then, what's the point? And obviously, money are not involved. I want people to watch my videos. Like, even if I couldn't monetize anything, I still want people to watch my videos. The more people to watch, the more people to get feedback from. All that is, it's part of the whole experience. I enjoy that. So I want to get new folks coming in. And it's very difficult with some of the styles I do. And especially since I take so long to play the games, like Nioh. When did Nioh come out? And I'm like halfway through Nioh. and that game came out like a month ago. I should be finished with that already. And again, I'm not saying rush through it, but I should have had my schedule set up better so that I could dedicate more time to it, so that at least recording wise, I was done with it, so I could start recording another game. So anyway, let's talk about the two new formats. The short series on more open-ended games. I see that a lot of people like that type of content. The series are short, and they can watch multiple Let's Players play the same game, and it's a different experience, right? Because, me playing, Slime Rancher may be different than 5 other Let's Players. They might do things differently than I do. So you can watch the same game. Something like, I don't know, Mass Effect. Well, that's not even a great example, but just as an example, Mass Effect, it's going to be roughly the same, right? I mean, you might make some morale choices that are different, but for the most part, it's going to be the same. That's a terrible example, I know, but you get what I'm saying. So that's part of the reason I chose that as an idea to try out, was these short series, because one, again, they're short, and two, with more open-ended gameplay, I feel like more people are looking for that type of content, like what's that? Besieged, things like that. So the other one, where I have the quick, fast uploads, where I play the game at a quicker pace, not so much searching around for every hidden thing and doing every single quest and whatnot. That one's fairly obvious, I think. That's trying to get that audience who they just want to see the game. They want to see it from start to finish. They don't really care about catching every single little, golden trophy. They don't care about doing every single quest. They want to see some of that stuff probably, but they want the game to be finished in like a decent time frame. And they also want the videos to come out quickly. I noticed that was one thing when I was reading some of the really big YouTubers' comments, was they're like, oh, I'm glad you're uploading this because other big YouTuber isn't doing it quite as fast as you do. And I checked, and like that other person had uploaded like 3 hours on the first day, but this other one did 5 hours. So it's pretty crazy. And I probably won't be able to compete with that, to be honest, not straight up, because a lot of those folks are going to get access to the games before I do. They also do it full time, and I, have a job, so I can't really do that. But at least I can try to compete on that level, and especially if I can pick up some lesser known games like that Little Nightmares. That might be the first game that I actually try that format with, is Little Nightmares, especially if I can get an early access copy, or an early copy rather. I'd like to try that. So that's the reasoning for the two formats. And again, that doesn't mean my other styles are going to go away. My preference is obviously the slower. I like to enjoy the games. I like to look for secrets. I like to do most of the quests. I like to do all the side stuff. I just enjoy that. Like that, to me, that's the enjoyability of the game. It's like, imagine picking up Skyrim and ignoring all the side quests and only playing the main quest. Like, who does that? Like that's against how I tend to play. So that will probably never not be the main focus of the channel. So it's not going away. But I will say this, like changing my scheduling to every other day instead of every day has helped a ton, because having to upload 4 videos a week for a certain series as opposed to 7 was a big deal. And it might not seem like much. It's only a 3 video difference. But when you're running 2, 3, 4 series in a week, so even with 3 series, that's 3 times 4 is 12 videos. And then 7 times 3 is 21. So pretty big difference. And again, you have to do that week after week. And it's very hard to keep up along with Let's Tries, blah, blah. You get the idea. But I'm really interested to see how those new formats work. I'm getting pretty happy with my backlog. Like I say, I'm almost, I'm ready to really dig into Nioh now. I've cleared the plate. I really want to dig in to it and focus on knocking it out. And I really am curious to find out how quickly I can go through it. And again, I'm going to be doing pretty much all the side quests still. So I still want to see how fast I'll do it. But kind of reading my notes here. Sorry. So the overall goal, as far as, what I'm working on, etc., other than, getting new subscribers and whatnot, obviously, is to only be working on one full playthrough and one open playthrough at a time, and maybe an MMO in there. I do like the idea of having one MMO that's consistent just all the time. just because honestly, I just love MMOs and it gives me an excuse to play one and have some kind of leveling MMO series. The only thing I don't like about that is MMOs do tend to take a lot of time off camera because a lot of times I'm selling junk. I'm doing side stuff in the MMOs that nobody wants to watch. And MMOs tend to have a lot of that side stuff, especially travel, things of that nature. So I might not stick with that if it ends up taking up too much time. We'll see once ESO and World of Warcraft are both like really done. But we'll see how that goes. But yeah, the goal is to have one full playthrough of some kind, whether it be a like in-depth playthrough and one open one to, like, again, something like Slime Rancher at a time. Let's Tries will just kind of, at least for a while, are going to be just kind of there. Like, if I see a game that in particular looks interesting, I'll do it. But it's not going to be a set goal of one Let's Try a week or anything like that. Not yet. But with the schedule 2 in flux, and I don't want to, I've kept screwing myself by scheduling too much ahead before I was really ready. And screwing myself up. So I'm like, okay, Let's Tries whenever they happen. Once all this other stuff gets nailed down, then I'll reevaluate and say, okay, can I dedicate the time to say 100% one Let's Try every single week? Because the thing with Let's Tries, just to give you a briefing, is sometimes I can play a game for 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour. I get the idea. I can do a Let's Try. Sometimes I have to play them 5 or 6 hours before I feel like, okay, I can sit down and give people a fair assessment of this game. Not a full review, but at least I understand enough about it so that I can present that information to viewers so that they can make an educated decision on what they want to try it out or not. So that's why those are so iffy, because like I say, some of them I can knock out super fast, other ones not so much. So yeah, overall goal is being more organized. Like I say, that's actually going very well so far. So I'm very pleased with that. Also keep in mind everything that I'm listing, schedule changes, types of formats, they're not end all be all. I'm very much about trying stuff. I have no problem with saying, I'm going to try this. And if it doesn't work, I throw it away. It's worth trying. That's how my whole MMO thing started, was way back in the day when I first started. Like, nobody did MMO Let's Plays. Like, even the hardcore Let's Players, like, it was just, you just didn't do them. Like, nobody would watch that. And I thought, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to try it. And it turned out actually being, at the time, for my channel, actually turned out to be pretty popular. It was Rift, by the way. And I was like, oh, so there are people out there who do like to watch MMO Let's Plays. And typically my MMO Let's Plays will get a long tail, which means people will not necessarily flock to it when it first gets released, but over time it gets consistent views, we'll say that, over a long period of time, as opposed to, older games. Like, nobody's looking for my Warhammer Space Marine Let's Play, right? But they might stumble upon my Star Wars, Old Republic Let's Play. But anyway, so yeah, I'm definitely interested in you guys' feedback as well on the format changes. Again, definitely the answer to the question. I definitely would like to hear some of the types of games that you would like to see as a short series. Theoretically, again, 5 to 15-ish things. Stardew Valley is also... I even wrote Stardew Valley on the list, but the more I look at Stardew Valley, because I've never played it, it feels like it would take a really long time. Because I think time doesn't really go that quickly. And somebody was saying a year in game lasted like a long time, like 10 hours or something. I don't remember off the top of my head. So it feels like that one might be longer than I would have wanted. So that might be not quite there. I'll probably end up at least loading it up and playing it myself so I can make a decision. But there are some games that I've really wanted to try that are very high on the list. Northgard is one of them. HunieCam Studios is another one. I think that's kind of a funny, amusing, I don't know if you're not familiar with it. It's like a cam girl sim. It's like tongue-in-cheek type game. So I thought that would be a fun. My girlfriend suggested Long Live the Queen. That one's another great candidate. So more games like that would be fun to mix it up, because I promise I'll stop rambling soon here. This will be the last thought I have. But way too long and far too often on this channel, we end up with the same games over and over for weeks, if not months on end. And, people will say, oh, well, I'm not really watching anything you're doing. And I totally get it. And it sucks for them because it's like, well, he's playing 2 MMOs, which I have no desire to watch ever, no matter who does them. He's playing Nioh, which I don't really, not that interested in. And, some other game that I have no interest in. And, it's dragging out over 2 months. So that sucks for folks like that. So that's another reason I want to do these 2 other formats, because I can feel I can get them in and they'll be in such a way that there's at least something on my channel that you can watch. Obviously, there's tons of other great channels you can check out, and I'm sure that you do. But, I want you watching my stuff. I want you to be like, oh, cool, there's a new Vertigo Tea Party thing that I actually care about. And because I definitely don't want people watching the MMOs when they have no interest in it. Like I said, I don't even watch MMO Let's Plays. People who I love to watch. So anyway, that's enough rambling for me. Jesus, 20 minutes. Amazing. Thank you guys for watching, and as always, being patient. Again, the question is suggestions for shorter series of games that you guys would like to see. And as always, give me any of your feedback, positive, negative. I definitely want to hear it. I'll see you guys next time.